Hello and welcome to Gardening Advice. We're going to talk a bit now on the veg garden. It's April's edition, Keith. Weather's getting nicer. Obviously the greenhouse is getting a little bit warmer, so people can start getting in there, getting stuck in with some veg plants, I think.
Yeah, in the greenhouse, so we were standing in front of the tomatoes. The first larger tomatoes came in last week. They do need to go into a greenhouse for a few more weeks, but it means you can, if you've got that greenhouse, to bring them on a bit early and get an earlier crop. And in the greenhouse, people have possibly got seedlings of vegetables that they sowed themselves, and they can be pricked out now and hardened off, ready to go into the garden. We've had lots of small plug plants in the last couple of weeks, lettuce, leeks, cabbages, most vegetables really, and they can go in. Perhaps best just protected with a cloche if you've got them, but they are pretty hardy, these, and most can go out and get an early start. It's also a sowing month. You don't have to plant seedlings, just people who don't want a lot of produce. Half a dozen seedlings in a tray is enough for them, but if you've got a lot of land and an allotment or a big garden, then you're probably sowing, and this is a good time to start sowing broad beans, Brussels sprouts. They take a long time to mature, so your Brussels sprouts need to go in now as seeds. Summer cabbage, lettuce, rocket, carrots, early peas, they can all be sown in April. And April's the potato planting month, of course. So the first week or so, the earlies will go in, and then in the middle it's the second earlies, and by the end of the month into May, the main crop potatoes. I think the thing to remember about those is as soon as the growth starts to come through, you just cover that growth up, it protects it from frost, and it gives a deeper soil in which the tubers will grow. They won't be exposed to the light, so they won't go green, and you just get a better crop. If you're doing that in a pot, you just keep adding compost until it gets to the top of the pot. If you're growing in the ground, you rake up the earth onto that growth to make a ridge. And people say, I put potatoes in because it breaks up the ground. What breaks up the ground is what you do to grow those potatoes in the first place, really.
I think one of the nice things about this month, especially the latter part of the month, the weather does warm up outside, so people can get out in the veg garden, even raised beds and things like that, and they can start preparing them, like taking off the weeds, because it's a little bit warmer out there to do tasks like that now, ready for when you're going to bring stuff out to plant outside, really. Yeah.
I mean, the weeds will grow as well as your plants. So, a weed is just a plant in the wrong place. So you've got to be vigilant, and if you can take weeds early, you won't have problems later on. So yes, keep the hoe going, keep weeding, because they're competing with your vegetables for food and water. Start planting things.
And just to touch on raised beds, seeing as we're talking about the veg, is there anything people can do to the soil in a raised bed if they've maybe they've had it established for a few years now, and just to revitalise the soil? Is there anything they can put in which will just enhance it this year?
Yeah, I think adding organic matter is good because it holds the moisture, but you've got to put some fertiliser in as well. And there's lots of different ones. If you want organic fertiliser, Bloodfish and Bone is very good, or chicken pellets. But there are chemical fertilisers as well, like Gromor, which some people prefer to use. But yes, you do need to keep the fertility of the beds up, because you want the best yields and the best taste you can get.
That's brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Keith.